Ladies and gentlemen, we have another incredible guest for you today on the No Limits podcast. Today, my guest is Alex Kroll. Now, I'm particularly excited about speaking to Alex today because although we have met in the past and we are friends, I don't actually fully know Alex's story. What I do know is that he is a former Royal Marine. He is now in a wheelchair due to a life-changing accident. But I don't know much about that accident, which is why I'm especially excited to talk to Alex today. I know he's an incredible person. He's incredibly positive, enthusiastic. He lives life to the full. He doesn't let life in a wheelchair hold him back from anything. And that's what this podcast is about. That's why it's called No Limits. I want to share incredible stories of incredible people with an incredible audience. So I'm going to learn a lot today. I hope you're going to learn a lot today. And as always, if you got feet, put them up, sit back, grab a cup of tea, and enjoy today's episode with Alex Kroll. Alex, welcome to the No Limits podcast. Appreciate your time, mate. Thank you for coming on. What's happening in your world?
Cheers, Mark. Yeah, well, like most people, I've got a lot of time on my hands at the moment. But no, it's nice to connect and nice to come on your podcast and chat.
And I appreciate you giving it your time. I know we've all got an abundance of time right now, but we chatted on air, we chatted off air just now about the kind of things that I want to get out of these podcasts and why I invite people like yourself on. And it's because I want to dig into people's mindsets. I want to talk to people who have faced real challenges in their life and overcome adversities, and effectively live a life, as corny as it sounds, with no limits, and that's what you do. So again, I said off air just now, the great thing about this for me is that you do most of the work, you know what I mean? Because you got the story and I want the listeners to hear your story and take as much as they can from it. So with that being said, let's start at the beginning, and it's completely up to you where you want to start. It's completely up to you where you want to finish, but take us through it, mate. Take us through your personal story.
Okay, so I'm going to start off right at the beginning. So I would say I had a very normal childhood. You know, dad was a builder, mum was a housewife with 10 jobs, and she'd turn jobs out left, right, and centre. And I was number 3, I was the third son. So was kind of left to my own devices in a lot of ways, and I think I was just highly strung as a kid. I think nowadays they call it ADHD, but I think then you were just a boy with bags of energy, bags of beans. So I was constantly, I think I was constantly on the move. And then as I got to a teenager, she kind of put me into everything. So I was in the Scouts, I was in the Cadets, I was in the youth club, and I think education-wise, I was just plodding through, just trying to do the best I can, and I was just very active. I needed focus and determination in my life, and I think I was just a bit lost in terms of career and what to do. So then I got to my teens, and I was leaving school, and I didn't know what I wanted to be or what I wanted to do. And I had no burning desire to join the Marines at this point. I had a vision that I was going to be a fireman. Okay. And so at this tender age of 16, 17, I went to the local fire station, and I was speaking to the guys. I was like, right, what do I need to be? And they'd take me for a bit of a thrashing or a bit of a run around. And then he kind of mentioned that they were also in the Marines. And it confused me. I was like, no, you boys are firemen. That's your job. And he said, no, we like most of us like part-time Marines. I was like, this is interesting. So I asked him more about it, and he said, yeah, there's a reservist unit, RMR Mersey, and he said a lot of us as firemen were basically basically we can have 2 jobs. So I thought, right, I'll go to the Marines, I'll get fit, and then that'll stand me in good stead to join the fire service. Mm-hmm. So went along, and day 1, week 1, there was 59 blokes on parade. And from that, the troop stripey or whatever, he said, listen, boys, in 18 months' time, I would expect less than 10 of you to still be standing here. And straight away, I just reeled myself out. I was just like, there's no way I'm going to be here in 18 months' time. And it was not through lack of determination. It was, I didn't feel I was the fittest, the strongest. You look around at other guys and you're just like, wow, they're machines. And little did I know, 18 months later, proud to say, I was one of 9 blokes get me lid, and couldn't be any prouder.
That's a hell of a dropout rate, isn't it?
Yeah. I think because it was the reserves, I think everyone feels that they can be a Marine. Everyone you speak to, it's like, I was going to join the Marines, or I've done training. And I think a lot of them go along thinking, right, I can do this. And sure enough, week by week, guys are just not turning up or just dropping out, or, we're doing a training weekend and there's a big wagon behind us and you don't want to be in that wagon, and guys are falling away between the waysides. And every week, every task that, I was asked of me, I just thought, there's no way I'm getting in that wagon. If I start dropping behind and jumping in that, it's just not a good. It's not
game
a good
over.
Thing. Yeah,
mate. So, yeah. I mean, I'm really interested, and I'm a little bit embarrassed actually that I don't know this, but talk me through the process with the reserves. So I understand that you'll likely have a day job, right? Monday to Friday as a civilian, but then you give up every weekend, every other weekend, 1 weekend a month, and you just get hammered, do you?
Yeah, every other weekend. So it's quite intense. You turn up for your selection weekend, and your selection weekend is just running around in gym kit, press ups, chin ups, timed runs, and then at the end of that, they're looking for that commitment. They say, right, boys, you're going to do 18 months every other weekend, every Tuesday night you need to turn up. The guys that get through and get the lids do extra commitments. So when they say, come do a Tuesday night parade, we will expect you to turn up on a Thursday night and do extra fizz because you want to come and do it. The weekends that you have off, we will expect you to turn up and do a bit more. So I was in college at the time, and I just thought, I can do this. I've got loads of time on my hands. But some guys were full-time gardeners, bricklayers. And I was just thinking, you boys are out there all week, bricklaying, gardening, and then you want to turn up on a Friday night. Mm-hmm. You want to pack your kit, and you want to go and do something miserable all weekend. So I felt I was in a good position to do the Marines thing quite full on, but it was such a mix of people. We had a producer, a music producer. We had a gardener. We had a stuntman. We had lawyers. It was just mad. You know what I mean? You just in the field. You're like, what do you do? And it's like, I'm a music producer, and you're like, shut up. No, you're not. And it's like, never do. I produced Roger Sanchez, and you're like, no way. I was like, okay. Yeah. So it was just a blend of people, and then it was just, looking back now, it was great times, wasn't it? But yeah, it is what it is.
Do you know what? My mindset has changed so much over the years, because I know you won't mind me saying this, but there's always that rivalry and banter in there when a reservist turns up and the full-timers are there. Oh, here comes the rubber dagger, blah, blah, blah. Yeah. Right. And I always used to think as well about when I went through training, when people would get back trooped.
Yeah.
It's, oh, here comes the back trooper, Hunter is not good enough and all this. And as I've got older and, now I've left and then I look from the outside in, I sit there and I look at it so differently. I look at guys that go through regular training when they get in hunter, and I just think it's long enough as it is when you do it in one hit. So that it takes something extra, right, to get injured and to keep your mindset focused and to watch your original troop pass out and to not lose that drive to want to go on and earn that lid. It made me look at that whole aspect of training completely different. And it's the same with the reserves. I honestly thought, I mean, do you get paid as a reserve?
Yeah. So we get paid a normal rate, and we get a bounty each year if we complete certain things to keep us commando ready. So if you do shooting, you do your BFT, your fitness tests. But I always remember you'd join the regulars, so there'd be a list or a board, and there was a great freedom in the reserves to be like, right, I want to do that. I want to do that. I'd love to do this. And you put your name down. And I got sent up to a fleet protection group, where they do the submarines.
Mm-hmm.
And you turn up, and from the off, everyone is like, bloody fucking reserves, type thing. And you've got to prove yourself, and you don't want to be that lemon that lets the side down. So by the end of your training package, so we got sent out, we were doing exercise Tartan Eagle, so you go out to America, work with the Yanks over there, and I was integrated into fleet protection to do what we were doing. And it was great, from the off, it was like, right, prove yourself, and then by the end of this exercise, we will accept you, type thing. So then we get home, and then the lads would be like, where are you going? I was like, oh, I'm going off back home, and I'm going to go back to work, and I might go on holiday. And these guys were going on stag for like 6 weeks, looking after the nuclear deterrent for the submarines. And that was their scene off time. And they were like, what are you doing in a couple of weeks? I said, well, hopefully, I might go and do a boat driving course or something like that. And they're like, no way. So like by the end, they were quite envious. They were like, wow, it's not a bad pick if you do end up in the reserves.
No, I remember when I was on Telek 1 in Iraq, and we had a guy working with us who was a fireman, who was a reservist. I think his name was Jed. And he was a Marine, right? That was his rank. So he was at the bottom of the ladder with me and most of the lads. And because he was a fireman, I know they have to match your civilian pay. He was getting paid slightly more than the sergeant major was getting paid, but he had like zero response. And I always remember thinking, you jammy bastard. You're sitting here getting a suntan with me and the lads, and you're getting paid like 45, 46 grand a year for doing it. And I always remember coming back from that tour, and I was so keen, and I put in a bunch of chits to go and do. I think it was one to do on a power course, one to change down to pool to work with the MT down in pool. And this was back before it was all on JPA, and it wasn't on computers, it was paper. And I'm pretty sure that most of the chits I put in just got ripped up by the sergeant major and thrown in the bin. But the reservist blokes were getting everything. Like they were going on power courses, motorbike courses, anything they wanted to go on. They were like, yeah, we'll give you that. We'll give you. And I'm like, what's going on here? Why? Hang on. I'm here full time trying to build my career, get some ad quals and develop myself as a soldier, because I do this all the time. And here come these guys swanning in on the weekend, and they're getting everything thrown at them. And I got really annoyed with it. I was like, I'm going to do that. I'm just going to leave full time and just be a reservist.
Yeah, there is a bit of give and take. So they will ask you to do things that you don't want to do. And then they'll always remind you, it's like, listen, mate, do you want to do this course that you put in for? And you're like, yeah, no, right, come on, you've got to, we need you for this. So, but I loved it. I think my job at the time, I was just working for the council as like a sports officer with naughty kids. So I was going in, working in these pupil referral units, and then sometimes I was thinking, I shouldn't be here. I should just go and join. And so it led up to me signing a full-term contract. So they call it a full-time reserve service, and I signed up for 4 years. So by this time, I was an LC. I was a boat driver for 2 raiding troop, and I just felt I had the best job ever. Went down to pool. learning how to use the landing crafts and the ribs and the mibs. And I just thought it was the coolest job ever. And you go down there and you see the SBS boys, and I had no aspirations for what they did. I was like, wow, they're mega. Yeah. Maybe one day, but I was just happy doing what I was doing. So signed my contract, and lo and behold, a week later, I had my accident.
A week?
Yeah, a week later. So yeah.
Sorry, mate. I've just, in the intro to this podcast, I said that although we know each other and we're friends, I've never heard the story of your accident. So I don't know if excited is the right word, but please, mate, continue. Tell us what happened. And
okay, so yeah, clearly nowadays I'm in a wheelchair with a spinal injury, but leading up to that, I signed my full-term contract, and then also as well that weekend when I signed it, I was determined to do something, and I did the Barcelona marathon. And so I've never done a marathon before. It's quite boring. I've done harder things than that, but I just thought, right, I'm doing a marathon. So I went and did the Barcelona marathon. Then a week later, I went to see our kid, my brother, and he's a pilot out in Anglesey. So I went to see him, and we were due to do some kite surfing, and the wind that day just wasn't windy enough. So Pete wanted to buy a motorbike. So we went along to this bike shop, and we're looking at the biggest, fastest, most ridiculous bike you've seen. This bike was an absolute beast. And so Pete went on it first, and he's really testing it out, really giving it some. We got halfway round, and it was my turn, and I had a bike license, but I wasn't a big, mad, fast bike. I was quite cautious, quite defensive. So I jumped on, and then we turned this corner, and the cars are parked about 2 miles long, and we're just waiting in this queue, and we're waiting. And Pete gives me a little nudge with his knees, as if to say, "Go on, you'll be all right." So we started making our way to the front of this queue, and we got to the front. And as we got to the front, the guy in the front, he was impatient, and he turned, and we went straight into him. And I had no time to react. I just went straight in. The bike came up, and I flew straight into his window, and I ended up across his lap and the passenger's lap. Our Pete went right over the bonnet, and he just broke his collarbone. He was lying over there. But that great big menace, that bike came up, and it broke me back in two there and then. I couldn't feel anything. I remember observing everything, but it was like I wasn't present. You know, it felt like I was looking down on myself, just thinking, this isn't real. And I'm lying there. I reach down, I just can't feel my legs, and I can't feel my chest. I can feel my hands. Then seconds later, it felt like seconds, and these firemen were all around me. And like I said, I was trying to get into the fire service, and looked up at this guy, and he must have been 20 stone, end of his career. He didn't look very healthy. And I just started giving him a load of shit. And the other firemen lads, they started laughing. And I remember this guy just saying to me, he's like, "Don't move, you're in a really bad way." And then that's when I stopped. I was trying to use humor to get myself out of this situation. But I just remember thinking, oh shit, it's going wrong. And I remember my brother, he asked the fireman, he said, "Is he all right?" And the fireman said, "Well, if he doesn't piss his pants, he'll be fine." And he looks fine. And sure enough, as soon as I said I pissed my pants, and he said, "Right, he could have spinal injuries, so we're going to put him on this board and send him away." And then that was it. I went straight into the spinal unit, and yeah, the doctor confirmed it there and then. He was like, you've severely severed your cord, your spinal cord. There is absolutely no way that's going to grow back, or it is what it is. And that was it from day one. I was 22 years old, 23 the week after, and then that was it. Just, I couldn't go back to the Marines. I was young. I was I just felt lost, absolute lost and devastation.
Mate, if you don't mind, it may be a bit of an insensitive question, but obviously having gone through a traumatic incident myself and some of the other lads that I've spoken to about it, the common thread that comes up, what you just said is what I experienced as well. It's very surreal. It feels like a dream, like you're looking at it from outside your body and that it's not happening to you. But one of the other common things that a lot of the guys say is that there's no pain. Like I didn't feel any pain, just really uncomfortable, throbbing. Dave Watson I spoke to said the same. A load of the lads who went through rehab said the same. But I'm talking to these are majority amputees. Your situation is very different. You severed your spinal cord. Did you feel anything when you were lying there?
I didn't feel a thing, and it worries me. The main pain I had was my brain just thinking you should be able to feel something. You should be able to feel some excruciating pain, and I can't feel anything. And it just it really concerns me. And then I got rushed straight into hospital, into the spinal unit, and the nurse there, she said, if I was wired up to this morphine, and she said, if you're in any type of pain whatsoever, just press this drip and you'll be all right. And I wasn't in any type of pain. I thought, what the hell, I'm never going to get this opportunity again. So I pressed it, and the morphine, it just knocked me out. And it knocked all the thoughts and the feelings that I was going through. And then it came back round. And this is the point when the doctor's trying to deliver the bad news. And I can see him coming across. I just thought, I can't handle this. So I pressed it again. The morphine went in. And I just thought, great, I can just keep pressing this thing as much as I can and just delay the process of what's going on. Then my mum and dad, they were there at the end of the bed. And then I just kept on pressing and pressing. And this morphine ran out. And then it really did hit me that I was 22. I was no longer in the Marines. I just thought, I'm spending the rest of my life in a wheelchair. And then that was it. I was on bed rest for 6 or 7 weeks. Just they put loads of metal work in my back. So I've broken my spinal cord at T4. So can you imagine just the line of my nipples? The bit of a weird fact. I can feel one nipple, can't feel the other. Yeah. So quite strange. I've broken my back, and what they do, they fixate your back. So I've got loads of titanium rods, and they go from T2 to T6. But essentially, the nerve endings at T4 are just never going to grow back. And the doctor, he showed me the X-ray, and he said, the top of your spine's over there, and the bottom's over there. And he said, that was one big clean sever. So I think in terms of spinal injuries, they will fix people eventually, but I think they'll fix people within 4 to 6 hours of the injury, and they'll put some magic enzymes in that'll make the spine grow together. But I think I'm not catching on to the fact that I'm ever going to walk again. I think walking around, it's not the biggest hassle in your life. You in a wheelchair, you can access things, you can do things. The buildings are, compliant for wheelchairs. So that's not my biggest issue. I think the biggest issue is bladder and bowels, making sure everything works okay, and then just keeping healthy for the family and for myself.
Yeah, I think, and you can obviously educate me here, but I think being in a wheelchair, it's very much like being an amputee, as in everyone's completely different, and what you see isn't always what you get. So I always get people send me videos of like below knee amputees rock climbing and saying, why aren't you doing this, Mark? And I'm like, because the dude's got knees and he doesn't, I don't have knees. And I was going to ask you before you said about being a T4, there are so many different levels, aren't there? And with each level, I'm guessing, come extra complications and
Yeah,
extra difficulties. But a lot of people maybe just will look at you and you'll be sat next to someone else in a wheelchair and think that your lives are the same when actually I bet they're completely different. Is that accurate?
absolutely, absolutely. So when I say I'm T4 complete, if you can imagine, I've got no core or function around me, my chest, my belly. So one of my sports is tennis, wheelchair tennis, and everyone's like, "Are you going to the Paralympics?" It's like, no. It's like, no, I'm not. And they're like, why not? Why aren't you one of those Paralympians? Like,
You have to, don't you know? That's a prerequisite of being disabled.
yeah. And then I've got to follow up with a bit of education. It was like, because I've got a shit disability. And they went, well, what do you mean? And it's like, well, you've got the quad category and you've got the open category. So in the open category, I can play any guys who've got like a chocolate toe or a turned in, club foot or whatever. I was like, these guys can all stand up at the bar at the end of the day and have a drink. And these guys are reaching shots that are just low. And when I go over for a really low ball, I'm sticking down there. There's no way I can get myself back up there. So, unfortunately, I fell in love with a sport that I'm never going to, really get there. And or they were lucky for me, as you know, the Invictus Games. So tennis came in, and I thought, brilliant. I've been losing at tennis for well over 10 years. And I thought, I can do this. I can go to the Invictus Games, and I'm a tennis player, and I know what's going on, and I reckon I can do it. And sure enough, Orlando 2016 went out there. Me and Andy Mack. Andy Mack's been playing for years. So we're like two very old tennis players who've never made the Paralympics because we've got really poor disabilities. Well, we're not bitter about that. But that was our time to go out there and shine, and we did it.
I've said this before to people. I 100% get what you're talking about when you say, like, quote unquote, a shit disability, because the way they classify these sports of stuff, you're exactly right. Like, your disability, and I don't like to say this, but you know what I'm trying to say when I say that it limits you so much more than another player that you play against, like you said, who can just get up at the end of the day and walk to the bar and have a pint. But people think because you're in the same classification that your injuries are exactly the same, and they're not. And I discovered this a lot in the Invictus Games when I was doing rowing and swimming, and I'm competing against guys with 2 arms, and I'm like, why are you in this category? Everyone else is either a quadruple amputee or a triple amputee. You got 2 arms. Of course you're going to win. Or even if you've got 3 limbs missing, if you're a double below the knee and a below the elbow on a rowing machine, and you've got 2 knees to power with, 2 elbows to power with, your league's ahead of me. You could probably fall asleep halfway through a race and still beat me because you got all those power points to pull a rowing machine with. And it's the same with you. This is what I was trying to say just now. People will just look at you next to another guy and assume that your lives are very similar, when actually they're very different,
Yeah.
and that was made really apparent to me when I started competing in the games, which is why I would never pursue the Paralympics.
Yeah, it's a hard one, isn't it? Because obviously they need guys, enough disabled guys to fill that category. Because if not, you're going to be racing against yourself or just one other guy. So they've got to have enough members in the race to go for it. But say like swimming, disabled swimming, I think there's 5 or 6 different categories. So you're obviously a bit more fair. But tennis, you've just got 2 categories: an open category and a quad category. And I do feel that there is an in-between middle bit. But I think guys have pushed for it for years, and I don't know. But it's one of those sports that if you like and you can play it socially and still enjoy it, it's just a bit frustrating that when you do go to tournaments, sometimes you're just like, this guy's going to smash me.
Yeah.
But yeah.
I don't want to go down too much of a rabbit hole with this because we sound like a pair of really bitter bastards. But I always, like when I watch the Paralympics, I can't remember who I was watching, but there was a cycling race going on, and one of the racers just had one hand. They were born with one hand, and they were racing against people with legs missing. And I was watching it, and I'm sat there thinking, I'm not quite sure how having a hand missing can put you in the same classification racing against people with legs missing, because you don't power a push bike with your hand. You just clip it into the handlebar, and then you just power with two healthy legs. But you're racing against someone who's got a prosthetic, or someone who's just trying to power the whole bike with one leg. I don't understand how that works. That surely that shouldn't be allowed.
Yeah, well, you know what? With our injuries, it makes us an expert in every single disabled. So yeah, we can just say what we want, can't we? We're just like, we're like, yeah, that's not right. You know, it should be like this, and you know, it's funny. It makes us experts in everything that obviously we're not. But yeah.
Anyway, moving swiftly on. How did you do at the Invictus Games? I know the answer.
I did really well, Mark.
I know you did.
I'm really chuffed to say. So yeah, I got 2 gold medals. So yeah, I was selected. I was selected for 2016 Orlando, and wheelchair tennis was in it. But before that, I attended 2014 down in London, and I missed the boat. I didn't hear about the Invictus Game. I just got told, right, go down and just watch it and see what's going on. And I went down to London, and I was watching all these guys just race around the track. And we went to the Foo Fighters concert, and it was just rocking. And I just thought, this is amazing. I thought, how can I be in this? And sure enough, you know, the trials came out for 2016. So I put my name down for every sport, like archery, cycling, swimming, and it went to all these camps. And it, you know, was figuring out, it was like, yeah, no good at that one, no good at that one. But I knew to get selected for the games, it was all about, you know, showing you were keen, determined, open to new sports. And sure enough, I got selected. And looking back now, it was just the best times ever. You know, as soon as you get selected, you are a proper athlete, and you train hard, and you're focused. And we went out to the games, and there was no handicap system for wheelchair tennis, so we got drawn against the Yanks, and this was a match to get into the games. And before flying out with it, my missus, she said to me, "You best still be in the games by the time I get there." I was like, "Oh no!" I said, "Me and Andy are going to play this match, and we're going to lose." And she's going to come out. She's like, "So you're not even playing tennis? Like, what's going on?" And we played this match, and we got into a tiebreaker. And I was like, so, you know, 6-all. I was like, right, all we need to do is get to 7. And we were looking good, but the Americans are there, and they've got a massive crowd. And in our crowd was just like 2 or 3 people, one being the coach, one being Health Heroes representative. And I was like, oh no, this isn't looking good. And sure enough, we crept forward, and we just pipped them to the post, me and Andy. And I was like, from then on, it was plain sailing to the final. And we got to the final, and we won it. And Prince Harry's there, and I just thought, this is mega. You know, this is just brilliant. Me wife's there with my unborn child. You know, she's 6 months pregnant, just on the limit, and it was just the best times ever. But it got me thinking. You know, with my career, like my short-lived career in the Marines, I never got the opportunity to go out and do what I needed to do. I was trained up to do a job that fundamentally I didn't do. So over the years, I felt bad. You know, I felt like I was sharing a lot of time with guys who have been out there and done it. I didn't feel like a proper veteran, you know, and I think the games for me was my chance to represent the corps and the country and go out there and try and do my best. And I did.
Yeah, this is one of the things that I always say when they say, people say, you know, what was the biggest thing that you got from the Invictus Games? And I said it was having the opportunity to represent my country again, because I thought it was something that I'd never get to do. Because like you said, when you serve, that's what you want to do. And when that's taken away from you, you don't think you'll ever get the chance to do it again. And like we just talked about, you know, Paralympic hopes are not realistic for guys with our kind of injuries, at the further end of that disability spectrum. So the Invictus is that perfect kind of middleman, isn't it? Where you can go out there, and train hard, as you said, a proper athlete, take it seriously, go out there, put on that GB tracksuit, represent your country, represent the core, just go out and whip some ass. You know what I mean? And have a good time doing it.
And it's like a melting pot of so many different guys and so many different stories. So I felt my career was quite short at 4 years, but I packed quite a bit into it. And I met one guy who did 28 days down in Sandhurst, and then had his accident. I was like, well, blimmin' heck, I said, that's bad for you, I said, at least I got to do a bit. But, there's some guys, and you've got other guys who have had careers of 20, 25 years and then just got a diagnosis of something and, finished their career off prematurely, when they weren't ready. And, I just feel, the games have taken a bit of a hit again this year with The Hague. And these guys have been training for it, and they're being, let go again. They've got another year to go for it. But I think when they do finally come around to do it, I think if they achieve whatever they achieve, it's going to be sweeter knowing that they've been training for it for quite some time.
Are you going to go for that one, or are you done with Invictus now?
Yeah, so I'm done, totally done. So I applied for Australia, but I shouldn't have been there. I didn't want to tell myself that, you're done, mate. Jump off the bus. I thought, right, I'll let someone else tell me that I shouldn't be there. So I went down for trials and stuff like that. And I spoke to the psychologist. I said, I shouldn't be here. And she said, just give that choice to someone else. Let them decide that you shouldn't be here. And so that was my break from Invictus for quite some time. But I've just been given a new role, which I'm quite excited to say. It hasn't been launched yet, but I think it will do soon. And it's an Invictus moderator. So what they're doing, they're getting the alumni, a couple of guys who've been there, done it, to when I say moderate, I haven't got a clue how to moderate yet, but apparently I'm an Invictus moderator. So okay. What it's to do with the We Are Invictus app. Have you heard of it?
I have, yeah.
Okay, so you sign up to the app, and it's basically an online community where guys, past and present, not only people who have been to the games, but if anyone who is wounded, injured, and sick can connect on this app, and you can sign up to different sports. You can challenge yourself against others, and so basically, as a moderator, and they're going to translate it as well. So we can start speaking to guys in, Germany, whatever, and the app will start translating it for us. So they're making it into a big, wide community, trying to keep that Invictus spirit going. And yeah, I'm quite excited to say I'm part of it, and I'm hoping maybe to go out the games on the other side as part of the Invictus Foundation, but I really don't know. But just quite excited to get it going.
Mate, it's really good that they're doing things like that, because a massive part of this, people from the outside looking in, they see the events on telly, once in a while, and people winning there, and that's part of it. But it's more than that. It's that community, like you said, when all the noise has died down and, there's no cameras around, it's having that community of people in a similar situation, going through similar things, staying connected, and helping each other, supporting each other from all over the world. It's brilliant. And that's another great thing about Invictus is I've met people from all over the world and made friends with those people from, different branches of the military, from everywhere, all through sport and through Invictus. It's been phenomenal. I can't wait for when it does kick off again to be there as a spectator, because I'm going to be that annoying guy in the crowd, drunk, right? Just screaming and cheering. And it's going to be so nice to not have that pressure of training and competing and, getting your mindset right. And, all that stuff that goes along with actually being an athlete. But just to be in that environment is such a buzz
Yeah,
I can't wait.
Because my son, well, he's 4 years old, and he's never been exposed to anything like that. Obviously, me and my wife, it's been part of our journey together. She knows I've been training for it and what it's meant for me. But it'll be nice to expose him to what's out there. And when we go, I'm hoping he's going to ask those questions like, Daddy, why has that man got half an eyebrow as his main limb? And I think kids shouldn't feel bad to say that. They are inquisitive, and they need to know that these guys are superhumans. And I don't mind when kids say to me, why are you in a wheelchair? I was like, I try and say something funny, but it never comes out right. Kids don't get sarcasm, do they?
No.
So I just say that, be good to your mum and dad, type thing. But I say, oh yeah, I got knocked over on a motorbike. Be careful. But yeah, it's a cool thing. I love it. I love the games.
That's a good little segue, actually, because one of the things I wanted to talk to you about is being a dad, and the challenges that being in a wheelchair bring to that. So, how have you found that? You're a father of one, is that right?
Yeah, one little nipper.
Yeah.
He's awesome. We went to the beach yesterday, and he's like, I'm going to run all the way home. It's like, mate, I'm sure it's just under 2 miles back home. He's like, no, I can do it. And he's just running along. It's like, I've got this whizzy wheel, it's like it goes on the front of my wheelchair, and I get to zip to where I'm going. And I was like, mate, you can jump on this. I'll whiz you home. No, I can do it. And he did. I was just amazed.
He ran 2 miles?
I think so, yeah. And it was like, half of it was a bit of a beach. I was like, mate, it's like Rocky. I said, like, it's like you're running on the most hardest terrain ever. But I told me what I got home. It's like, he ran all the way home. I was like, yeah. So he's a mega little boy, but
Mate, can I just jump in a minute? Because you just said something that I think is really important. You said you got home and you told your wife, which tells me that you went out on your own in a wheelchair with your son. Now, I think there are a lot of people listening that would just assume that that's not a possibility for numerous reasons. Tell me about that, mate, because that's fascinating to me.
And we got stuck in a sand dune, so that's the extra part of the story. So I've got this whizzy wheel, and it is cool. It goes on the front of my chair, and I can do 20, 25 miles an hour, and I'm rapid when I'm using it. So the beach is about just under 2 miles away. So from ours, I'll get him on, and he's like, yeah, this is, we're doing the whizzy wheel. And then we'll get down there, and there's a boardwalk. So you go through the boardwalk, which is fine. And that's where wheelchair guys are meant to stay on, stay on the boardwalk, do not go on the beach. And then there's a little bit of soft sand. And I thought, right, we're down here, right? We're going for it. There's loads of people about. If you ever get to, people are always trying to help you out. So it's like, right, we're going for it. So I knew the first bit will be fine. So we whizzed down, soft sand, yeah, get through. And then we're on the beach, and it is plain sailing. The sand's nice and soft, and we are ragging along. People, it's weird. It's really weird time. Everyone is walking, isn't it? Everyone, they're like zombies everywhere, because everyone is just walking with nothing to do or nothing on the mind. So we whiz down the beach, just me and him, turn round, whiz all the way back, and I know we're going to get stuck, or this is our problem there. So it's like, right, mate. So we're going for it. I said, I'm gonna speed it as much as I can. We're going to get through that really soft sand. So we absolutely went for it, and I turned to get back on the boardwalk, and it was like a car crash. We started going over as if we're going to land in the sand. I was like, right, you jump off, too much weight. So he jumped off, and he kind of caught me, and we were virtually there. And then this guy came behind. All right, mate, do you need a hand? Yes, please. And that gave us a bit of a push, and I thought, brilliant. And so I am doing all the normal things that dads try and do. Actually, sometimes I'm doing super duper things that normal dads aren't doing. He appreciates it. I enjoy it. But I just thought, if you get certain bits of equipment that can help you do things like this, then it's only a good thing. So yeah, we got stuck. He ran home. Mum was happy. We both survived. Yeah, job's a good one.
And mate, I think by living that way, the way you do, I think we kind of unconsciously teach kids lessons. So, there could be a lot of people that might think you don't do those things, or your wife does most of the things, and you sit back and, oh, I can't do this because I'm in a wheelchair. I can't do that because I'm in a wheelchair. But you're going out and you're doing it, and you're taking your boy with you, and you're getting into these situations, and you're, nice passers-by helping out, and you're figuring it out. And they don't realize it at the time because they're so young, but you're imprinting lessons in their mind. Don't let X, Y, Z hold you back. Don't stop living your life because of this, that, and the other. Go out there and just do it, because I don't think there's anything worse than taking the adversity that you've had in your life and using that as an excuse not to live your life.
Yeah, I mean, obviously with my disability, we all have our own demons and stuff to get over, and I really try and not let them see that side of me, So I do have issues where I've got pressure issues where they're obviously sitting in a wheelchair all the time, and I've got to be careful where sometimes I've got to take the pressure off my bum and stuff like that, and I don't try and burden him with these problems. So the time that I have got with him was like, right, we're going to do something really fun and exciting. So yeah, it's just that mindset, isn't it? Just, this is the way we're going to be. Just because dad's in a wheelchair doesn't mean that you're not going to have a full, fun, fulfilling life. And then the times that I'm struggling, or I've got things to do with my disability, then obviously I try and shelter it away from him. But I think he will appreciate it in the future.
Yeah, absolutely, mate. Now, I've got a list in front of me that I'm looking at on my phone of some other pretty ninja things that you've gotten involved with and achieved since your accident. Now, I'm just going to rattle a few off, and we'll go into them. But a flying scholarship in South Africa, skiing, becoming a balloon pilot, septicemia, another challenge. There's all these, mate. Let's dig into this for a while.
Okay, so yeah, I've got a private pilot's license, so I can rock up, jump in my little plane, get me chair in, and off we go. Sail those silky skies. Obviously not during COVID. Everything's just been cancelled, hasn't it? But it's just such a cool thing to do, and I'm so glad that, if I wasn't in a wheelchair, I would never have had the opportunity to apply for this scholarship. And they sent me out to South Africa, and I did 45 hours, came home, and yeah, I had this license to say, right, you're a pilot, off you go. And it's amazing. I fly with a charity called Airability, and they're a disabled charity within the UK that help people fly. When I got my scholarship, it was called Flying Scholarships for the Disabled, and that was set up by Sir Douglas Bader, and he was the original superhuman.
Yeah.
In fact, he was that good being disabled. You'll like this, Mark. Whilst in a prisoner of war camp, they confiscated his prosthetic legs because he kept on trying to escape.
I like the sound of that.
I'd wear that like a badge on it. Can you imagine now? The guy's coming in, Douglas, where's your legs? Yeah, I got confiscated. I kept trying to jump that wall, didn't I? Legend. So he came back, and he was the original guy he was playing golf, he was flying, and he had these legs that I think they were covered up most of the time. Now, a lot of you guys, you can see your prosthetics all the time, but I think back then it still was a bit of a no-no, and he covered them up, but still did amazing things.
Do you know what's even more impressive about that?
Go on.
Is that back then the technology was awful compared to what we've got now. I always say, some people would agree, some people disagree, but this is the best time ever in history to be disabled because of technology. because of the prosthetics, because of the wheelchairs, because of smartphones, how you can still like run businesses if you're disabled and do all this, like what we're doing here now, hundreds of miles apart. We can still talk. Back in his day, you know, they were made out of tin and beaten with hammers, and they were held on with straps, and there was no microprocessors in the knees or Bluetooth capability or iPhones to hook up and change your modes. It was just like, here's your stuff, go figure life out. And you were almost, like you said, they were hidden away because it was almost like, oh, here comes the freak. Whereas now it's, oh wow, look at this cool guy's wheelchair and this cool guy's legs. So, you know, it makes everything that he did and he achieved and that he was even more impressive in my mind.
Yeah. And certainly nowadays, I think the exposure that people have got with disabilities, with the Paralympics, with Facebook, YouTube, whatever, you know, you can't go anywhere without physically seeing disabilities in a positive way. You know, you're seeing guys. There was one guy that did K2 the other day, and on a stumpies, you know, get big up to him, you know. So it's just, you know, and when I fly my little plane, I'll jump out and I might take someone out for the day with me, and they'll get me wheelchair out. I can do it myself, but you know, if someone's with me, they'll get it out, and I'll go in to the clubhouse or whatever, and they'll think, oh bless. That instructor's took that wheelchair man out for the day, and they won't appreciate that. I was like, no, mate, I've flown here. This is just me, mate. This is just me, mate. This is the guy buying the teas and coffees for the day. But yeah, it's just it is in this day and age, you can't afford not to prejudge, and people still do.
Yeah, absolutely.
So yeah, flying, love it.
Talk to us about skiing as well.
Yeah, ski. Have you ever done it?
I tried it once a long time ago. I didn't like it. I think where my issue was because I've only got one arm. I'm sat in this bucket on a mono ski, and I'm being pushed everywhere, and I felt like a baby in a pram being pushed around and put on the lifts. The guys with two arms could use their ski poles to navigate themselves and hump themselves onto a lift. So I didn't like that. And also, like the way I do things, not in a dangerous way, but I prefer to do things when I've got the hang of it quicker, because my mind works quicker. So when I'm going down a mountain and I'm carving left to right, I like to go fast and just be boom, 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 rather than slow. And because of that, they had me on, the instructors had me on like these leashes, and they wouldn't let me off for the whole week because they said I was too dangerous. And I was trying to explain to them, I'm not dangerous. I just operate better when I'm quicker. But they refused to let me off the whole week, and it just kind of soured my whole experience. And it's freezing as well, being sat in that bucket without being able to move or exercise. I just froze all day long. So I didn't like it, but you obviously had a different experience.
Yeah. Well, I can totally understand where you're coming from. For me, it is freedom and it is independence, and there is a faff. Skiing is a whole faff to get your kit, to get to the slope, to jump in your rig. But once I'm in my rig, so I use a sit ski, and I got one ski down the middle, two little skis on my hands, and unlike you, like I could be really independent. So once I'm in that ski, I could load myself onto the chair. I could jump off at the end. I could ski down. You know, obviously I will fall over, and sometimes I can prop myself back up, and then sometimes I just can't. But again, someone will ski next to you. Do you want a hand? Yeah, and pull you up. And it's just, I loved it. And again, there was a lot of guys. Are you going to the Paralympics, mate? I was like, no, mate. I'm not going to the Why aren't you going to Paralympics? It's like, well, I've got a wife and I'd have to spend 6 months away, and then the whole disability thing. I've got quite a high level. I was like, no, mate, I just like skiing. Just leave me alone. Just So I was really fortunate. So I was in the Armed Forces ski team, and it was just, it felt weird because I was obviously a civilian road traffic accident, and then I was mixing with a lot of guys who were Afghanistan, up Herrick, getting blown up. and I just felt totally different from them. I was like, I couldn't relate to obviously what they've been through. But in terms of my disability and the team, you know, I think they did finally appreciate. They were like, it's quite hard for you to ski, isn't it? I was like, yeah. And, you know, if they've just got one leg missing, you know, it's not that hard, and they can do it really well. So it took a while for me to be comfortable and be happy. But eventually, I think I managed to earn that respect, that I kept turning up and I kept doing it. And I was trying to do as much independent things as I could. And at times, guys were like grabbing me skis, like, no, mate, you're struggling a bit there, you know, but I'd never, you know, I'd never try and enforce that help. But I loved it, and hopefully I'm still part of that team one day. But I think the guys who are going to the Paralympics, they're really focusing on it and going for it.
But don't you think it's just nice? I want to talk about something else that you pilot as well in a minute. But don't you think it's just nice with like the flying, the skiing, the tennis, just to be able to have the opportunity to do it and to enjoy? You don't have to compete. Everyone thinks when you're disabled you have to be a competitive athlete, but just to go out and enjoy it, mate, and like you say, get that sense of freedom and live.
Yeah, I think so. I think variety is the spice of life, isn't it? So when you do get towards winter, you do want to go away skiing, and then as soon as summer comes, if you're a winter athlete, you need to go into that snow zone and not enjoy the sun. You know, so I think that's the commitment that these athletes make. You know, I am so focused on my sport that I am going to go into a really cold freezer and ski whilst the sun's out on the beach and stuff like that. So I think I just chose that from the beginning. I just thought, right, I'm not committed enough to drop everything else that I do. So I like me tennis, I like me flying, and with my disability, I try and be the best I can be anything that I'm doing, and there'll always be a limit, but obviously through time and, you know, experience and stuff like that. But in everything I do, I try, you know, I am quite competitive, so I try as much as I can to be the best I can be in whatever sport or venture I'm doing.
Absolutely. It's the bootneck spirit, mate. Now, what else apart from planes do you pilot?
Do you mean hot air balloons?
I do mean hot air balloons. I've never been in a hot air. It's on my bucket list. In fact, I bought my wife last year for her birthday. I think it was a Virgin Experience Day for me and her to go in a balloon, but COVID hit. But I'd love to do that. So I'm so ignorant, right? From what in my head, I've just got, okay, you got that big wicker basket, a big balloon, then someone pulls a lever and a flame goes up, and that's it, right? I'm obviously wrong.
Okay, no, you got half of it right. So you got the flame bit right. Put the flame in, balloon goes up. The bottom bit is a couch. Okay, so vision, you're on your couch, you got nothing in front of you. So I transfer from my wheelchair onto this couch. There's two-seater couch, me and the instructor guy, and we're just sitting there. Legs are dangling over the edge. We've got two big fuel tanks next to us, loads of fuel, 5 hours fuel. And I got this weird, there was a scholarship, a balloon scholarship. And I went, I can do this. I can apply for it and get it. And they sent me out to Italy, Mondovi. So this place, Mondovi, it's south of the Alps, and it's like a horseshoe where you've got the Alps and it's dead high. And then in this bowl or crater, everything's just calm and still, and it's perfect for ballooning. In this country, you get your balloon out and you're getting blown right.
I was going to say, mate, don't you ever go on these courses in like Scarborough or Derby or somewhere? Why do you go to these exotic locations all the time?
I know. So they sent me out to Italy, and I got there and I thought, I met this guy, Giovanni. You know, he's your ballooning guy. Speak to Giovanni, and I was like, I couldn't work out whether he was in the mafia or not, because he turns out when he's a small guy, and he's got all these big guys next to him, and he's got this black Range Rover, and they picked me up through the area. Alex, how you doing? You have a beautiful wife. I was like, how'd you know that? He's like, Facebook. He's like, Facebook, my friend. I checked you up.
Stalking you.
yeah, I check you up, and I was like, right, okay. So we jumped into this black Range Rover, and he's got all these big guys, and yeah, one was the ex-head of police, and I was like, right, well, why is he with us? So day one, we get the balloons out, and he shows me this couch, and it's a balloon couch that we sit on, and it's proper. And we set the balloon up, and we go up, and we're just having the best flight ever. So it's weird. Everything's dead slow, and it's like a game of chess. So it's like, right, there's a fence over there. I need to do something to miss that fence. Right, 50 meters away. Right, I need to burn now, but I need to burn not too much because I don't want to go flying over it. So burn a little bit, and then you weigh up, and you just fly over this fence, and then you go back down, and then you just going really low, and you're like a helicopter, like really still, and then there's a house or a villa over there, right? We'll go over there. So go over there, and he obviously knows the person in the house. Like, hello, how are you? And we're speaking to him. It's like one of those adverts, one of those weird aviola, one of those butter adverts where you're picking up a bit of butter off someone else, then you go for your bagel or your bread.
Right. But in a hot air balloon.
Yeah, and it's just sort of real. You're just like, wow. I'm with this guy. We're out in Italy, and by the end, in 2 weeks' time, I'm going to be a balloon pilot. And I've never used my license to go and balloon because I've not got the opportunity to do. But to go out there and to prove myself, and he let me loose. So by the end of 2 weeks, it's like, right, over to you. And I took this balloon up, and the day itself, it was dead still. So he said, all you have to do for your license is go up. And he said, just hang around there for 30 minutes and then just drop back down and I'll give you a license. I thought, so he let me loose. I thought, no, this is your one chance. So went a bit higher, and as you go a bit higher, it'll take you somewhere. And these guys are on the ground, and they're in the van, and they've got walkie-talkie, and I've got walkie-talkie. And I'm starting to get in a bit of a pickle. Like you said, don't go over the town. You've got town ravines. You'll be in a really bad place. And I'm edging towards this town, and I can't get down. And just like the panic starts to set in. And I've got walkie-talkie, they've got walkie-talkie, but they don't want to speak to me because it's meant to be me being really independent. And I'm just like, I'm going to get myself in a right pickle here. And so I was trying to come down, and it took me about 2 hours to get back on the floor. So I went over, I did this half an hour. I had 5 hours fuel, but I went for one landing, that didn't work, went back up. I went for another landing, realized I was in an industrial state. I don't really want to be there, back up. And I can see where I don't want to be. And in the end, I thought, right, I need to get down here. So popped over these power lines. I was like, you don't want to go into that. And it was the cruddiest landing ever. And I got down. These guys ran towards me, and the relief on their face, on my face, was just like, thank God for that. But the point was, I could have just hovered for 30 minutes, just literally off the ground. He would have given it to me. But I think he knew. He was like, no, if you want to do it, go and do have a proper flight. Go and try somewhere. And I did, and we survived it. But it was hoofing. Best thing ever.
Awesome. Happy days. Now I want to move on quickly to talk about something which I'm imagining, and we'll just try and cover this quickly if we can.
Yeah.
I'm imagining something that isn't as uplifting as the things we've been talking about, and that's septicemia. What happened there?
It was a bad chapter in my life. So septicemia, it's a blood poisoning. And I was out skiing. We went out to America to ski against the Yanks, the Wounded Warriors. And something didn't click one day. Like physically, I didn't feel well. And I thought it was a water infection. These are the type of things that I get. And it wasn't water infection. It was something a lot worse than that. So I got home. My wife, she called for an ambulance, got rushed straight into hospital. And just to rewind 6 weeks earlier, I went swimming one night. And the hoist to get you in and out the pool?
Yep.
It wasn't working. So I got to the side of the pool and I lifted up. I caught my bum on a tile, and the skin had healed over, but the infection or whatever was on the tile got into my body.
Okay.
And it was just building away. and it was building, and I couldn't feel any of it. So 6 weeks down the line, it turns into septicemia, and it just absolutely nailed me. I was, I didn't know where it was. Into hospital, and I had a load of surgery. So they cut down my leg, and they took away a lot of muscle in my bum and my leg and my hamstrings, and to clear this infection. And then the only way to fully try and get rid of this infection was to lie there like Superman. So I'm lying there in the spinal unit like Superman, and little did I know I'd still be there just under a year later, trying to get rid of this infection, trying to heal this injury, to get back in my wheelchair, to get home to where I needed to be. And it was just one of the hardest parts of my life. When I first had my injury, I always knew I'd be all right. Like in the back of my head, well, I'm 22, I can do this, you're all right. You're going to have a full and independent lifestyle. But when I had the septicemia, I was aware of all these amazing things that I could do. I could ski, tennis, fly. I'm just lying there, and I just don't know whether I'm ever going to get back to that point where I can go back and do these things. And lucky for me, I did. I got back to where I need to be. But the whole septicemia saga was really hard. I'd only been married for a year, and that's meant to be our honeymoon, isn't it? And Jane was coming in every day to see me in the hospital, bringing me food, trying to keep me company. I wasn't in the best of spirits. And yeah, it took a real big toll.
No, I can relate to that, mate. It's funny, like since I've been injured and I've been opened up to this world of disability, and I've created a whole new peer group of people with different challenges and issues. You realize actually how many people have stories like that similar. So you think, they've gone through enough already. You know what I mean? They've got these challenges already, and then something else hits, septicemia. So, you said you were laying there like Superman. So imagining face down, right?
Yeah.
For the best part of a year in a hospital ward, which, I mean, a day is long enough to do that, let alone close to a year, and you meet all these people that, I myself, I was training for a jiu-jitsu fight, and some dude slammed me and broke my femur on my right leg, snapped the end of my bone off. And so I know where your head's at. You're sat there, and automatically you're going through all these great things that you've achieved, thinking, I'm never going to be able to do that again. I'm never going to put a leg on again. I'm never going to be able to do, and you start panicking, and then you've got another fight on your hands to go through that knocks you back. But I mean, resilience, mate, is quite an overused word, I think. But
yeah, I mean, I didn't realize it at the time. So just to explain the process, I had the surgery. I was lying there, the skin had healed, and at some point the doctor will be like, right, we're going for it. Let's try and get you up in a chair. And then the skin would break down again. And he knew that. He was like, it's not good enough to be fully there. And I break down, back into bed, healer. Right, let's go for it again. Yeah, it's broke down again. Unlucky, mate, back in we go. And this process just kept on going on. And I didn't realize, I didn't realize I was a resilient person, but I think I needed to be, to get through it, to try and put a brave face on when people came in to be nice to me. They were coming in, being nice, and I didn't want to be nice back. I just, just leave me alone. But it's, and I remember as well at the beginning, so the doctor that I knew, Dr. Sony, and he's a man of few words, and he comes in and he just goes, you're going to need to dig deep. And then before I could say anything else, he just bomb burst out the room. I just thought, dig deep. I thought, we got told to dig deep all the time in the Marines. Dead easy. Work hard, put one foot in front of the other, switch this off, switch your brain off, and just keep going until you achieve whatever you're going to achieve. But in this sense, in this scenario, I'm lying there, and my brain is just going nuts. It's in overdrive, you know what I mean? What about this? What have I done to myself? What have I done to others? And it was just very hard to switch that off, and just not be present in the moments, because I just needed to get through this time. But for me, I have got a good family, and I've got a good support network, and there was a lot for me to try and get through this scenario. So it's not like my life is totally shit and I had nothing nothing worthy to come back to. That's what got me through.
Mate, it's been I mean, this is probably just scratching the surface of what you've actually been through and experienced, but it's been a hell of a roller coaster for you. Plenty of highs. They always come with a couple of lows. And now what you do is you share this with other people, don't you, through MGR, through a program where you go into schools and you share your story with the youth of today, talk to them about resilience, run some workshops with them. I mean, tell us a little bit more about that.
Yeah, so I'd say that's where we probably first met, maybe 5-6 years ago.
I've just signed back up for this year's.
Good. It's a fantastic thing. So it's run by Blesma, which is the Limbless Veterans, and I think it's like a community program. So it started off by the Drive project, and initially it was for veterans to come together to share stories and tales of personal experience about overcoming adversities and fundamentally, the power of being resilient. Mm-hmm. Now, to date, I think we're 6 years in, and we've reached over 100,000 kids. Yep. That's young people in education. That's first responders. That's kids in pupil referral units. The naughty boys and girls that need to hear our stories, and it's just a win for everyone. We come together, and us as veterans, we get to. It's like confession, isn't it? I've done this, and this in the past. I am not proud of this. I'm proud of this, and this is how I got through it. And hopefully you can learn something through it. So we go in and we deliver our stories to kids, and and it's just a great thing. I love it. Proud to be part of it.
Yeah, like I said just now, I did the first 2 years, and then I got too busy with work and everything else. And now, having recently left my job, I emailed the guys last month and said, look, I know you're starting again. I want to get back amongst it and start doing this again, because it's so rewarding, to stand in front of a group of school kids and tell your story in a you try and make it humorous and relatable to them through cartoons that are relevant nowadays and all this kind of stuff, so they kind of get it. But I think it's hard, I think, nowadays for children, in that I don't know how to say this without sounding maybe arrogant, but they haven't got that many people to look up to. TV's dominated by reality TV trash and Instagram wannabe famous people, and that's shoved in their face. I've got a 16-year-old daughter who's constantly looking at all these fake social media people, and it messes with their heads. So it's to be able to stand in front of kids and share real life stories from real people who have been through real shit times and come out the other side, is mega rewarding. And hopefully, I know it sounds cliche, but if you can change just one life and stick one kid on a positive track from 20 minutes of your day, once in a while, then happy days.
But and at the moment, we're delivering via Zoom and online. So, at this precise moment, there's going to be a generation of kids who are just going to fall along the wayside, because they're not in school, and because they haven't got positive mentors like teachers and stuff like that, and all this social media. Then now more than ever is a time when we need positive and good stories. So we're delivering across Zoom, and it's quite funny. So the other day, I had 136 kids, and you can see the bottom left-hand side. So I'm delivering away, doing a good story. I look down, 129, 123, and I'm watching this, and I'm like, hey, what are you doing? You tune back in, the good bit is coming. and they'll switch back in 136, and it's like, yeah, you come back to my story. So it's so you can visually see if the kids are liking it or unliking it. I thought fundamentally, I'm here. I'm speaking to 139 kids. I haven't drove 2 hours to go and see you and stayed in a hotel. And I think this whole lockdown Zoom generation, sometimes it's not a bad thing. The amount of people that you can reach. You're dipping into everyone's home life and stuff like that. So it is a cool thing.
Absolutely. We should start our own reality TV show, mate. We'll get a bunch of the Invictus lot or whatever, and we'll make our own reality show with something empowering, not running around oiling up our 6-packs. You know what I mean? Chasing girls in bikinis. None of that garbage.
It'd be awesome, wouldn't it? If not, why not? And then we'd all have to get back home to our real life at some point. So But no, I'd love that.
Right. So as we wrap up, mate, let's talk about the future. Ram 2022.
Race Across America. Have you heard of it?
I have. It is. I know people that have taken part in it.
It's a big, long cycle race from Oceanside, California to Maryland in Annapolis, over 300,000 miles. And again, with Blesma, I couldn't sing their praises enough. They've put a team together. So a whole crew of 22 injured veterans. The racing team element is just 8 guys, two sets of 4. And in those 2 sets of 4, you're going to work as a little team non-stop. So one guy on the road at any one time, and we're going to keep cycling, keep going. And you'll work in your little team to get there. So over 3,000 miles, over 175 feet to try and climb. So we're going to try and climb through the Rockies, the Sierra, the Appalachian Mountain, And I'm no mean hand cyclist. I'm quite a leisure guy, you know what I mean? Let me stop. I'll have a frappuccino and then we'll keep going type thing. Yeah. So, and I'm training with these boys who are, these are mean machines. These guys banging out the miles. So it's going to be an awesome thing. Meant to do it last year. Didn't happen. Meant to do it this year. It's not going to happen. 2022 is going to be a glorious year where things happen, and we're all going to come together. We're going to get across. We're going to, it's just going to be a phenomenal experience. So Ram 2022.
I know they do it as a regular event. Are you taking part as a regular event, or are you, because I know that some guys break the record the other year? Are you going to go for the record or not?
No. I mean, we are good enough to, we're training hard, you know what I mean? But I think the guys that went for the record, they were your top guys at a top elite level. Elite. And then us, like, I hate to use the word, it's a journey, but it is. It's a journey from I'm starting off here and I want to get there. But some of the guys in our team are, we're each on our own recovery path, but some of the guys, are more than elite, you know what I mean? So I think together, we will do in 8 to 10 days. That is your cut-off time. And we will do a good time, but no, the focus is not trying to bang out records. The focus is, can the 8 riders and the 22 crew all work together and all get there safely?
Yeah, and enjoy it, mate. Enjoy it, taking the experience, and
absolutely.
Well, mate, listen, thank you so much. I'm just looking at the clock now. We've been going for like an hour, 25 minutes, mate. I could go on all day, but I appreciate you got stuff to do. You got a family, but thank you for your time, mate. I really appreciate it.
Absolute pleasure, Mark. It's just us chinwagging away, beefing ourselves up a little bit. But honestly, I feel, I just feel it's good to do. It's good to talk. It's nice to share experiences. And, if guys are listening to the podcast and feel inspired or, want to make a change, then let's hope they do that.
That's it, mate. Like we said with MGR, you go in, you speak to the kids, and you hope to make a change in their life. This is what I'm trying to do with this podcast: is interview exceptional people that have overcome some serious challenges in their life and inspire people. Get it out there, spread the word, and help as many people as we can.
Pleasure.
All right, mate, you take it easy. All right, I'll speak to you soon.
Okay, you all right? Yeah.
Thank you, mate. Take care.
Cheers, Mark. See you now.
Wow. I told you at the beginning, Alex was an exceptional person. And like I said during that podcast, we probably only really scratched the surface. Some of the most interesting things that I've discovered speaking to people on this podcast are the things that seem mundane, the day-to-day challenges, the day-to-day tasks, and the day-to-day difficulties that they have to overcome. But guys, please continue to help me grow this podcast by sharing these episodes, leaving comments, subscribe to the show, share it around, do whatever you can to make people aware of it, because these people that I speak to and their stories really can go a long way to change mindsets, change perceptions, put things into perspective. And it may sound far-fetched, but I don't think it is in my experience. They may even help change people's lives. Guys, thank you so much, as always, for all of your support. I appreciate it. I love you all. Thank you for everything, and I'll see you on the next episode of the No Limits podcast.